All right, what's up, YouTube? This is BoxingWave. Just want to talk about the year, all right? I want to talk about 2018, give you my thoughts and review of the year overall as far as boxing, what to expect in 2019. Oh, Happy New Year to everyone. I hope everyone that went out and celebrated got home safe. You know, a lot of crazy drunk drivers out there. Yeah, I just want to give you my expectations for 2019. Some of the things, there was a lot of things that changed this year. And you know, talk a little bit about the boxing community as well. So it's probably going to be a lengthy video, but you know, I want to cover a lot of things. Now, we are officially in the streaming service era of boxing. Okay, it's finally got around to boxing, and it's a big thing now. Like, we're pretty much being forced to stream. HBO is done. No more HBO. It's a big deal. HBO has been around, I forgot how many years, maybe 35 something years, 35, 40 years. I can't remember the year, but HBO is officially over, okay? I'm not sure if that's going to happen with Showtime. I know Showtime is in conjunction with Fox and stuff, so I'm not really sure if it's going to happen as well with Showtime, but we have DAZN. We have ESPN Plus, okay? We have Showtime still, all right? Showtime has its own streaming app. So we have all these streaming services, and I am paying for them. One of the videos I recently made is that I'm no longer supporting pay-per-view, okay? I believe pay-per-view is still going to be around for as long as they continue making money from it. My thing is, if I do pay for a pay-per-view, it would need to be an excellent fight and an excellent card. Okay, something that we're not normally seeing on these streaming services or premium channels like the HBOs and the Showtimes and stuff. If you're gonna make me pay for a fight, you would have to provide me with something that I'm not normally getting on a regular or every other weekend. Okay, certain weekends, we're getting great fights that's on these premium channels. You know, that's on Fox or whatever. Okay, for me to pay for a pay-per-view, we need a great fight, a fight worthy of paying for, and we should be getting a great undercard to go with it. You know, it shouldn't be the other way around where we're getting the fight that we want, but the undercard is usually pretty shitty, you know? So I'm not supporting it. I didn't support Wilder and Fury just because, you know, I want to start from somewhere. Like, listen, if I'm going to be paying for DAZN, ESPN, I've still got my Showtime and my premium channels, what am I getting back by supporting and putting money into their pockets if you're giving me a shitty undercard? And actually, it wasn't a great fight. I think the 12th round was a great round, but overall, it really wasn't a great fight. And if you look at the undercard, even predicting it beforehand, you know all of those fights in the undercard were going to be knockouts. Okay, so that is one major thing that's changed for 2018 and going into 2019 is that we're getting streaming services now, and we're still getting pay-per-views. I want them to kind of get away from that since we're paying all these premium and streaming channels and stuff like that. So, yeah. So basically, going into 2019, I thought 2018 was a good year. There's a lot of things that happened. I thought it was a great year for the heavyweight division. Wilder had two fights that made a lot of waves. Like, he had Ortiz fight. Ortiz fight was the real fight of his career. That was his first real test. I mean, Stavern was a test because at that point, neither one of them really accomplished anything at that point, and they were fighting for a title. But outside of that fight, the Ortiz fight was the real fight for Wilder. And you could say the same about Ortiz. I know Ortiz didn't really accomplish much neither, but I think people felt like, okay, we know Ortiz is a legit opponent, you know. Wilder won by knockout. It was a great fight. It was one of my personal favorite fights. And Wilder for Fury, we all know the drama with that fight. Created a lot of drama, created a lot of talk. You know, as far as the YouTube community, that was probably one of the biggest fights here on the YouTube as far as discussions, and Fury coming back, you know, being out a long way. He came back, had a couple other fights too this year, but the drama in the 12th round really saved that fight, and it was a big deal, you know, for Fury to come back, and you know, he still is the linear champion, and he was a guy that beat the guy. And I don't need to explain all that, but it's good to see that Fury is back. Joshua had a couple good fights. He had a fight with Joseph Parker, which wasn't the greatest fight. I thought the Povetkin fight was a good fight to watch. It was definitely, that was an action-packed fight. But the Parker fight was more like a unification, and you know, he won, and he holds 3 titles now. Okay, so and then you had Dillian White. He did his thing. He had a great year, and he had one of the best year out of all of the boxers, even outside of heavyweight division. Dillian White had a great, amazing year. You know, knocking out Lucas Brown, knocking out Derek Chisora, dropping Parker twice, and a great fight. A fight that he barely survived, but it was still a good performance. Dillian White had a great year. So it was a great year for the heavyweight division. Let's go down to the cruiserweight. We finalized the first World Super Boxing Series tournament. And Usyk, who I believe to be the fighter of the year, without a doubt, no debating. I went through down every division. I just don't see anyone that has this type of credentials that Usyk has for this year. In 2018, he is the fighter of the year. I couldn't even think of anyone that I thought was a little bit debatable. This man had 3 meaningful fights this year. People that I given fight of the year in the past had 3 or 4 meaningful fights, maybe. This guy had 3 very meaningful fights, and he also became undisputed, the first to hold 4 titles in the cruiserweight division. You know, knocking out Bellew was great. Beating, you know, Breedis, and beating what's his name? The other fighter, winning the tournament. I can't think of his name right now. Apologize, but Usyk had an amazing, incredible year. Okay, I give him fight of the year, and just a big year in the cruiserweight division. They're already having another tournament. I'm waiting to see him go up to heavyweight. I think that's what's the next thing that he should do. So we'll see what happened with that. But going down the list, you had the light heavyweight division, who is a lot of changes too. Kovalev lost to someone other than Andre Ward, and Adonis Stevenson also lost. So the guys that ran the division for years, both lost, both don't have titles anymore. Kovalev is going to fight Alvarez in a rematch, but both of these guys lost. You got a lot of new guys in the division. I've done videos on these guys. It's a lot of things going on in the light heavyweight division. Adonis Stevenson, I don't believe he's going to come back. I hope he doesn't come back. He had a great career. He's over 40. You know, I think he's done as much as he can do. I don't think him coming back should be the right thing for him to do. I don't believe he's going to come back and box. I know he's healthy now, which is a great thing. But that light heavyweight division, you know, made some noise this year. Now, one of my disappointments, or a couple of my disappointments of the year, is the middleweight division. Middleweight division was a disappointment for me because with Andrade going up, Canelo now is officially at 160, even though he just had a fight at 168. But Andrade and Jamal Charlo going up, I thought some of the fights that I wanted to see would happen. Billy Joe Saunders really threw a curveball in there by failing a drug test. Very disappointed because I wanted to see him and Andre fight. That was a high-level fight. I'm still waiting to see Andre fight someone really good. He still hasn't really fought anyone yet. He's had some decent fights at 154, but I'm waiting to see what he can really do, you know. And now that he is fighting for the zone, he's fighting under Eddie Hearn, we're going to get those opportunities. It's just that Billy Joe Saunders failing that drug test really messed things up for me. Also, Willie Monroe failing the drug test too as well. And I'm not mad at the Corribo fight because that was a better fight. When I found out that Matt Corribo was fighting Jamal Charlo, I knew right away that that was going to be a better fight. But still, Willie Monroe, just another guy that failed the drug test. It just hurts the sport, you know, and it hurt the division. Jamal looked very impressive at the fight with Matt Korobov, who hasn't really been that active. A very good fighter, but a guy that hasn't been that active. We saw some exposure with both Charlo twins, okay? Both of them kind of got exposed a little bit because of perception on YouTube. A lot of guys overhyped them on YouTube. I'm a big fan of the Charlo twins, you guys know that, but I never overhyped them, okay? I was always a guy that picked against them in fights that I thought they would lose, you know? Nothing personal, it's just that I knew they were good, and I wanted to see them fight some of these fighters, but they were overhyped on the boxing community for, you know, by certain channels. And I think it's unfortunate because a lot of those people were in my comments saying things like, you know, like these guys would beat guys like Golovkin and Canelo and Jacobs and guys that have done and put their work in this sport. They just thought that Jamal would just come in and knock them out. And now people are looking at them like they ain't shit, which sucks. And, you know, I still like them. I hope this humbled them, this fight. They're both twins. I hope these recent fights humbled them. And they just need to get right back on their game. You know, I was going to make another video about it. But listen, at the end of the day, they need to get back on their shit. As far as Canelo Alvarez and Triple G, very controversial. You know, one of the best fights in the sport this year. Controversial again. Most people think Triple G won that fight. Canelo, I'm waiting to see what he's going to do. I hope he unifies with Jacobs. I hope he does something. I hope he fights someone at 160 that we really want to see him fight. All right, Canelo is with the zone now. I know he's a boss in this sport. I know he can fight whoever he wants when he wants to. He chooses who he wants to fight. But I'm hoping that he does give Jacobs a shot. I think Jacobs is very deserving of a fight with Canelo Alvarez at 160. Okay. So moving on. Another disappointment is the welterweight division. Another division that's always had talent. Even after, you know, Floyd Mayweather retiring. Speaking of Floyd Mayweather, I didn't do a video because I'm just not supporting shit like that. I'm not making videos. I'm not even giving that fight exposure. But since we're talking about Floyd, Floyd fought the other day. Like, I woke up yesterday morning like, holy shit, Floyd fought last night. That's crazy. I looked at my phone like, Floyd Mayweather fought last night. I would never think that I would wake up a morning and see that Floyd Mayweather fought and not even know that Floyd Mayweather fought. Like, I knew he was going to fight this guy from Japan, Tenshin, but it was like, I woke up like, oh shit, like, oh, Floyd Mayweather fought, and then I went and clicked on YouTube and watched the fight. Like, I watched Floyd Mayweather fight for free on my YouTube. Through my phone. Probably the silliest fight I've seen. Sorry about the sirens. Probably the silliest fight I've seen in a long time. I think some of it was acted out. The fight was real. I just think that Tenshin was being a little overly dramatic when he got hit and went down. I did check some of his fights out on YouTube when I found out that he was fighting Floyd. But after I found out that Floyd was fighting him with boxing rules, MMA fighter with boxing rules, I knew, like, I didn't care anymore, you know. And then I saw the size of the guy, and I'm like, yeah, this Floyd, this is an exhibition fight. I don't care for it. Floyd can do whatever he wants. It's like, I'm not against it. It's just, I'm at a point now where Floyd can do whatever he wants to do. That's his business. I mean, if people are going to pay you $9 million to fight for a few seconds, hey, I can't be against that. It's just that when I'm watching a fight and I'm like, this guy is flopping on the ground like a fish. It looked like a WWE fight. And I'm just like, man, this is stupid. You know, it was fun. It was funny. I laughed watching it and everything. But yo, going back to the welterweight division. The welterweight division. Pacquiao is here for the money grabs. Adrian Broner is here for the money grabs. But, you know, I don't care for Broner because he's not really that good. The guys that are really good at the division, it's unfortunate we got 4 guys holding titles. And it really doesn't seem like we're going to get any unification matches at all. It seems like everyone has an excuse of why they're not going to fight this guy. And, you know, I think the only fight that we're going to get in 2019 is a fight between Sean Porter and Keith Thurman. That is the only fight that is possible that for 2019. You know, and not saying that's a bad fight. It's not a bad fight at all. I mean, the first fight was one of the fights of the year candidates of that year, in 2016 or whatever year that was. And it was a great fight. I think it was a fight that could have gone either way. You know, I thought at first glance, I was rooting for Thurman. So at first glance, I thought Thurman won. Then when I watched it again, I'm like, I don't know. I think Sean Porter might have edged it out. I do want to see a rematch. It was a great fight. But we have Terrence Crawford there. No one wants to fight him. You know, Errol is basically, and I talked about this, Errol is throwing the business and the PBC and that all that out there. So he seems like he wants to fight the PBC guys first before fighting Terrence Crawford. And it seems like the PBC guys don't want to fight Errol Spence. You know, Sean doesn't really want to fight him. Thurman doesn't really want to fight him. You know, I guess they're going to fight Spence when they're ready to fight him. And Spence is not really trying to fight Terrence Crawford. So I think that is a huge disappointment. It's like, it's a pussy division in my opinion. You know, just overall, just you got a lot of good fighters, but dudes is taking forever to fight each other. You know, this is not about who I think will win. It's just about, yo, you guys holding title, fight this guy, fight this guy, fight this guy. You know, why don't you fight each other, you know? All right, Danny Garcia, he's taking losses. You can't pick on him no more. So now what are we going to do? You know, and this is a little disappointed with the way the welterweight division is right now. But I do like 140. I do like 140. I made a video recently about that. Check out a video talking about Josh Taylor, Regis Prograis. I made a video talking about 140 and the tournament, the ongoing tournament right now. A lot of talent there. I think that's a division that we will see undisputed champion by at least by 2020. You know, I think these guys are willing to fight each other there. And it's a fun division, you know. It looks like the newer guys are clearing out the older guys. You know, Victor Postul lost to Josh Taylor. And we also had, who else lost recently? Ndongo got demolished by Regis Prograis. So, you know, I mean, the newer guys are taking over. The older guys at 140 that's been hanging around, they're kind of like becoming a little bit irrelevant. So, I like what's going on at 140. I didn't talk about 154 too much. I think the major thing is like Jamel losing to Tony Harrison. I think that's a huge disappointment because really want to see the Jarrett Hurd fight. And I don't know what's going to happen with that now. I don't know if Tony is going to fight Jamel in an immediate rematch. I think there is a rematch clause, so we'll probably get an immediate rematch. But if we don't, we know Tony Harrison wants to fight Hurd again, and I think Hurd will destroy Tony Harrison. Stylistically, it's just a bad matchup. We already seen the fight. Tony Harrison's good boxing and everything, but a guy that pressures you like the way Hurd does, it's just a bad matchup, okay? I think stylistically, Charlo has a better chance of winning that fight because of how wild he's become against Hurd. And I don't know when we're going to see that fight now. So, little disappointment with that. Jaime Munguia seems to be out of the equation since he's over fighting on a different platform, and no one seems to really be bringing him up. And then you had like guys like Lara, who was involved with one of the fights of the year. Lara Hurd was definitely one of the fights of the year. But I don't know what's going on with him. I'm waiting to see what happens with Lara and J-Rock as well. All right, so yeah. So going down 135, you got Lomachenko, who was also involved with one of the best fights of the year. He had 2 great fights this year. He fought Linares, which was one of the best fights this year. Definitely like my top 3 fights of the year. A lot of drama, knockdowns. Linares gave Lomachenko a great fight. I think the fight between Lomachenko and Pedraza was a great fight as well. Great fight. I think Pedraza had a better game plan, but I think the Linares fight was a better fight. Okay, so and I do think that Lomachenko wasn't 100%, especially with that hook, not really throwing it like that. Wasn't using it. I know he had surgery. He's coming back off from fighting, off of surgery. I addressed that. A lot of people thought I was making excuses and making pleas for Lomachenko. For what? I don't know the guy. He's not making me any money. Lomachenko coming off of surgery and defending against or unifying, I think that was a statement, for him to come off of surgery and do that. Not too many fighters out there doing it. I even brought up and compared that Hurd came back from surgery recently as well. And he wants 2 tune-ups before fighting Charlo, but that's before Charlo lost. So you got to understand that people are not unifying coming off of surgery. Look at Keith Thurman. He wants, he wants his time and he wants his tune-ups, and he's fighting Josecito Lopez soon. But yeah, so I'm trying to think going down 135. We got 130. Got Tank Davis there. He seems to keep fighting guys from 126. I don't like that. This is the same guy that can't really make 130, that's struggling to make 130. I saw a video the other day about something about him weighing as high as 173. That's ridiculous. These guys have no discipline, and that's what makes Floyd a great fighter. You don't have to like him. You don't really have to like him outside of the ring. I don't really care for him that much outside of the ring. But what made him a great fighter is that how disciplined he was. And people don't understand that, part of the reason why they have these losses is because they're doing all this other shit outside of the ring. They're drinking, they're gaining all this weight. They're just not disciplined, I think if more boxers treated boxing like a job and stayed disciplined even when they're not fighting, I think they would be better, but... that's just what I think. So 126, Frampton lost to Warrington, which was another really good fight. Josh Warrington is another guy that you have to put up there. Had an amazing year. And, beat Frampton, and he beat him clearly in my eyes. It was a great performance, one of the better performances. You definitely got to throw him up there as far as performance is concerned. One of the better performances, beating Carl Frampton the way that he did. He definitely beat him better than anyone that's had a tough fight with Frampton or has, beaten Frampton before. So I think that was a great performance. Going down, you got the tournament at 118 going on right now, which is a really good tournament. And, I don't want to, we're getting down to the lower divisions now. After like 118, I don't really follow it too much. 122, 118. After that, don't really follow it too much. So I'm not going to even address those divisions. But I want to speak about 118 real quick. Inoue actually had a knockout of the year. I think knockout of the year goes to him, without a doubt. I think knocking out Payano the way that he did in the first round, that level of a fighter. Rashid Warren had 2 really tough scraps with this guy. And Inoue just went in there and knocked him out in the first round. This guy, technical ability and power and athleticism is insane. I think if he wasn't in the lower weight classes, his name would be ringing a lot more than what it is. But I mean, that guy is you have to put him up there high, very high on that top 10 pound for pound. I don't really do pound for pound videos because they change after every fight. And the problem with it's just too subjective. I'm giving you a list based on what I see. I know we have to factor in record. You got to factor in skill set. You got to factor in all this stuff like, weight, obviously skill set wise, record wise. I don't know. I don't like doing it because everybody does it differently. It's a subjective fantasy list. But I think this guy should definitely be up there, maybe even a top 5, without a doubt. He's really, really, really good. So let's talk about some of the fights that we got of the year. Let me pull up my little list here. All right, so like I said, fight of the year, Usyk, without a doubt. Usyk, clearly, no debating, fighter of the year. Round of the year was Wilder versus Fury. The drama in that round was crazy. It saved the fight because the fight, Tyson Fury was outboxing him easily. Even the first knockdown, I thought was like, it was like not the cleanest punch. I actually thought, until I saw it from a certain angle, I actually thought that Tyson Fury slipped, but he did get hit. Wasn't a powerful shot, but that 12th round was insane. Wilder, the way he hit him, the way Tyson Fury went down, the way he looked when he was down, he looked completely knocked out. And for him to get up the way he did, like everybody was comparing this to like The Undertaker and wrestling, it dead ass looked like that shit. The way he got up and was able to continue and actually win the remainder of that round was crazy. One of the craziest rounds I saw this year. In my personal favorite round of this year. That was a great round. It definitely made the fight. It made a lot of people don't even watch boxing is talking about that fight because of that round specifically. All right. So I thought that got round of the year. I thought Inoue, obviously I said that he got knockout of the year against Payano. It was a dramatic, quick combination, boom, boom, left, right. The way he timed it, the way it landed, it was perfect on the money against a high-level fighter. Okay? I think the Teofimo Lopez knockout was insane. It's just that I don't look at the quality on the same level as Inoue. I know that both knockouts were crazy, but I think Inoue's knockout was a better knockout. And I thought also White and Chisora recently was a crazy knockout. I mean, he knocked Chisora out stiff. And I didn't even say it came out of nowhere. It was late in the fight. A lot of people thought Chisora was winning the fight when it happened. Dillian White, amazing fighter, amazing year. Amazing fight. He's a great fighter, but amazing year for him. Amazing, amazing year. I think it was the best year as far as heavyweights. I think he had the best year. And some of the favorite fights this year, I believe I should have checked this before I made this video. I'm not sure if Josh Taylor against Victor Postol was this year, but that was a great fight. If it wasn't this year, I know it was probably right before this year, but it might have been in the beginning of the year. That was a great fight. I think if I had a top 5, that was definitely maybe like my 5th favorite fight. Wilder versus Ortiz, I got that in my number 4 spot as far as fights of the year. I went to that fight. It was a great fight. It was a lot of drama. Wilder got hurt. Ortiz went down a few times. Ortiz was up on the rounds that he didn't get knocked down. I believe, and it was just a great back and forth. It was a great back and forth fight to me. Number 3, I didn't number these, so I'm trying to think off top of my head. Sorry for the sirens, man. This is what living in New York City is like. All day, it's lights and sirens all day. ambulances, fire trucks all day long. That's all you hear. Can't get any sleep. Number 3, you know, I'm not gonna order these, but my top 3 fights were the Lomachenko against Linares fight, the Hurd versus Lara fight, and the Golovkin versus Canelo rematch. All 3 great fights. Golovkin against Canelo. The first fight was really good too. What made this better to me though is Canelo walking forward. It made, yeah, his defense, yes, obviously he got hit more because he was coming forward, not fighting on his back foot, but it made for a bigger scrap because they were standing each other right down each other's face, just throwing punches, man. It was a great fight, a great technical fight at that too. I loved that fight. Linares against Lomachenko already expressed how good of a fight that was. And Hurd versus Lara. I mean, people, you know, Lara's, I'm disappointed with the outcome. Lara is my favorite active boxer. Okay. I wanted Lara to win, obviously. I knew going into that fight, Hurd was his most dangerous opponent since Angulo. I think, you know, Lara hasn't really fought the way that he used to fight since the Canelo fight. He's been more standing in front of his opponent, not really doing, you know, not really. But you notice something with Lara, like a lot of people complain about him, about how he runs. If he fights a pressure fighter, it's always a great fight. The Angulo fight was one of the best fights that year. The Paul Williams fights was one of the best fights that year, one of the biggest robberies ever too. But Lara, to me, if he fights a guy that is going to fight at his pace, could be a very boring fight. Very boring fight. But when he fights a pressure fighter, a guy that's willing to come at him, I think his fights are very, very good. So, you know, that's my thoughts of this year overall. As far as YouTube and the community, I think there's a lot of changes going on. I noticed that, you know, I don't follow too many channels, but I do watch videos here and there of channels that I don't subscribe to. The thing is, I don't like to subscribe to too many channels because then my timeline is kind of cluttered with just a bunch of videos. But I listen to specific channels that are unique to me. When I hear a channel that is sort of like a twin channel of another channel, it's no disrespect. It's just that certain channels, they sound too much like someone that I subscribe to already. And they're basically, it's like listening to the same video twice. So I listen to like a lot of the older channels, you know, like the Dwyers, and I listen to the Hatman and Boxing Beats and Rhymes. You know, I listen to some of the older channels. I still, you know, 10 Players. I still listen to Zone 6. I still listen to, the guys that subscribe. They know I subscribe to them. I listen to T Street every once in a while. I might check some of his stuff out. I still listen to Black Fight Fan every once. I'm not much of I don't really follow the LDBC like that. But I still listen to Black Fight Fan a little bit because I like, from that group, I can listen to him because, you know, his perspective he just comes off a little different as everybody else. And I disagree with him a lot, but I like to hear what that side feels. Just like I used to always listen to channels that I didn't really like. Back then, I used to just listen because I want to hear a different perspective. Even though we may disagree on a lot of things, I still want to hear a different perspective in boxing. So I think overall, though, the community needs to get rid of the race baiting. I think the race baiting is what is a cancer to the boxing YouTube community. Okay, if you see a fight, I think people need to realize that not everybody around the world are thinking like you. You know, there's people that grew up totally different from the way you grew up. And you just can't generalize. A problem with a lot of these channels is that they are driven by hate for other people, and it blinds their thoughts. They can't even give you a fair boxing assessment because they're driven too much by hate. I've seen it a couple years ago. A lot of it. I've dealt with a lot of real racism. I've seen it. I've been called all kinds of stuff on this channel since I've had this channel over the years. You know, I'll never forget when Pacquiao and Timothy Bradley was fighting in their rematch. I did a prediction video on it. And because of the way that the first Pacquiao-Bradley fight ended, even though I thought Pacquiao won the fight, I thought that the way that it ended, I thought it was more in Bradley's favor. So going into the second fight, I thought Bradley was going to take the rematch. And I remember all of the racial comments that I got from like these crazy Pacquiao fans. You know, I don't know what race they are, but they were just saying all kind of crazy shit to me. I'll never forget that time. And I can think of another time since I've been on YouTube where there's a lot of racist stuff that was said. It was during the Povetkin and Wilder fight, where it was a point where I defended Deontay Wilder and how that fight got canceled. And it was a lot of racist content out there at that time. It was a lot of channels that were, I wouldn't even say racist. I think they were just driven by hate, you know. But now we're in a time too where, you know, a lot of the channels now, a lot of the black channels are just like, they're just, I don't know, they hate, they're only pro-black, period. It's like, whatever, if you're not black, you're just, you know, we're in a coon era now, where if you don't ride with a black fighter in every single video, you're a coon. You know, you get some of these guys saying shit like that. It's just out of control. But people are just now starting to get tired of that. And I see that a lot of channels, I see a lot of the commenters, they're getting tired of that wave. And I think those are things that they come and go. Like, I've been on YouTube for 5 years now. You know, on and off. You know, I take long breaks sometimes. I take like 3 months off, take 6 months off. But I think overall the community is getting tired of that, and they want that real boxing content without the race baiting bullshit. Call the fight the way you see it. That's it. They want no bias, you know. Yeah, I'm going to get people that's going to come in my comments and say stupid comments and say something racist to me or call me a coon or to say I don't know shit about boxing. It's all good. You're the one that's coming here to listen to me talk. I'm just a random guy just making videos. But I think overall the community is starting to clean up a little bit. I think people have there's cult followings out there that people still, you know, continue to follow. But overall, as a community, it's starting to get better. And I think there are more channels that are coming out that are just being real. They're not doing no race shit. Like, they're just strictly talking about the fight itself, you know. And it goes, everybody gets affected in boxing. Nothing's fair in boxing. There are fighters that's all over the world, different races, different nationalities, different backgrounds, that it's not fair. They don't get treated fairly too. You know, it's just not one specific type of fighter from this place or this place. You know what I'm saying? So I think overall the community is starting to get better. There's some like really good channels out there, newer channels. I know I said I follow most of the older channels, but I do follow some of the newer channels. And I'm still learning on, you know, giving listens to some other newer channels and stuff like that. But, you know, overall, I'm going to keep doing and giving you boxing talk the way I do it, you know. And that's all I can be. You know, I can't make videos the way you want me to make videos or give you my, that's just the way I call it, and that's the way I try to be unbiased. Sometimes I can't be. You know, sometimes I like a fighter so much I want them to win. Sometimes it's really hard. I'm not perfect, but for the most part, I think 95% of the time I can give you a fair, unbiased opinion on the sport, and I'm going to continue to do that. And hopefully we can even have a better. This channel can be even better this year. You know, I've been on a nice roll last couple months. I want to continue keeping it going and improving. Hopefully I can improve this channel this year. I'm going to try to. All right, so that's my year wrap up. Drop your comments on your thoughts on the year and on the channel overall. Any requests you guys got, you could drop the comments. And see you in 2019. Well, we're already here, so I'll be back with some more content for you guys soon. All right, peace.